Tonight, preparing to enter stage 1.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to reopen.
Retailers race to get ready as the province puts a date on when they can reopen. Plus,
Active TO is about making sure people have the space to get outside.
the city acts on its plan to get cars off the streets and open up more room for pedestrians and cyclists. And the Toronto band that isn't letting a little pandemic cancel their summer concert plans. They're holding a drive-in concert coming this August. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. On Tuesday, Ontario will take its first tentative steps in its economic recovery plan. Many stores will get to reopen to customers, but the measures go beyond just retail. Lisa Shing takes us through what else is on the list.
Just a few days from now, this Toronto running store will be able to open up again.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm so excited to reopen. I think that it's going to help me with my own sort of nervousness and anxiety.
So far, Lynn Bork has been doing deliveries and curbside pickup. By Tuesday, the official start of phase 1 of 3, retail stores not in malls can open to the public, but under new rules like physical distancing.
Well, we'll definitely be limiting customers. Right now, I'm thinking that there can't be more than 2 customers in the store.
So far, it's just garden centers and hardware stores that have been allowed to open. But by next week, construction, pet services, household cleaning, and in-person counseling and scheduled surgeries can start up again. Seasonal businesses like golf courses, marinas, private campgrounds and parks, and animal boarding services can be open as early as Saturday.
We have the framework, we have the workplace safety guidelines, we have the capacity in our healthcare system.
And we've seen a drop in cases for about 3 weeks now. The province counted 258 new cases today, which is the lowest since late March. While it's good news, officials have this warning.
While there's things more available, it doesn't mean you have to go out. While there's more things allowed to be open, it doesn't mean they will open. It depends on the retailer, the group, and that, if they want to do it, if they feel it's worthwhile doing it.
The Premier says he understands people's frustration in still not being able to see their family and acknowledges he jumped the gun when he had 2 daughters over who didn't live with him on Mother's Day. But he says to stay the course since the limit on gatherings of more than 5 people still isn't lifted yet. But we can expect an announcement on that and on the future of the school year by next week. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
While more businesses are reopening, some streets are closing. The City of Toronto announcing the first road set to be closed as part of its active TO plan. Now that aims to provide more space for people to be physically active while having enough room to abide by physical distancing rules. As Kelda Yoon tells us, the first 3 locations actually launched tonight.
The signs and barricades are up in Kensington Market.
My first impression that it's a really good idea to try and make some paths that I noticed in Kensington Market in between the West End from DuPont down to the Lakeshore, just because some of those routes get, extremely crowded.
Kensington is one of the first 3 locations launched as part of Active TO. Beginning today, the area bordered by Nassau, Spadina, Augusta, and Dundas Street West is closed to vehicles except local traffic. The other 2 locations now closed are Shaughnessy Boulevard between Van Horn Avenue and Havenbrook Boulevard, and Havenbrook between Shaughnessy and Manor Park Court. So far, the city has identified 57 kilometers of quiet streets. The full list is now up on the City of Toronto website.
These spaces are important as we move from people staying home as much as possible to more people going outside in the better weather.
And while the weather wasn't great today, Valerie Zolobova confirms.
Like 3 weeks ago, there was no one in this park. Now every sunny day, there's more and more people, yeah.
The city says health officials are also recommending closing some major roads adjacent to popular trails on weekends. Some of these will be closed starting this long weekend. This includes all eastbound lanes on Lakeshore Boulevard West between Windermere Avenue to Stadium Road, as well as Bayview Avenue from Mill Street to Rosedale Valley Road and River Street from Gerrard Street East to Bayview Avenue.
I expect these changes will be popular, and city staff are already looking at other sites for more additional quiet streets, and we invite the public and our members of council, of course, to participate in making suggestions in this regard.
Hopefully it'll make even a small difference. I look forward to seeing what they do with bike lanes. Is that something that I think is really necessary?
The other major part of the active TO plan is, of course, expanding the cycling network. Mayor Tory says details on that will be released next week. Kelly Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Some good news tonight coming out of the Crest nursing home in Bobcaygeon. You'll recall it was the first long-term care home in Ontario to face a major COVID-19 outbreak.
I'd like to let you all know that this morning Public Health has announced that our outbreak is now over.
Staff today celebrating because, as you heard, the outbreak in the home is officially over. Earlier today, Pinecrest said the local public health unit confirmed that all residents have been free of symptoms for 14 days or more. That ends a nearly month-long nightmare for the home. 28 of its 65 residents died due to the coronavirus, plus 32 staff members came down with the disease. Pinecrest says despite the end of the outbreak, all ongoing infection control measures will remain in place and all staff will wear full personal protective equipment. And Toronto Western Hospital is dealing with another COVID-19 outbreak tonight, this time in its emergency department. Crews are now cleaning the area and testing the staff who worked there from April 20th to May 13th. At least 5 ER workers have contracted the disease. A spokesperson for Toronto Western says there's very low risk to patients because all healthcare workers wear personal protective equipment. The hospital says ER staff who were working during the affected time frame will be tested for COVID-19 3 times over the next 2 weeks. The hospital has already made public several other outbreaks in recent weeks. As the province allows more people to venture out and more businesses to open, we're likely to see an increase in the amount of people getting sick. Now, public health officials will be closely tracking those numbers, relying on testing to spot any potential new outbreaks. Chris Glover looks at whether our testing capacity is where it needs to be.
Okay, you ready? Okay. Even with COVID-19 symptoms, you still might not have gotten a test in Ontario.
It's really based on the judgment of the clinician that was in charge of the assessment center.
But the number of new cases continues to lower and stabilize. Spring will start to look more like years past as many people are unleashed back into the community. And now, if you have symptoms, the health minister says there'll be a test for you.
We need to do more public surveillance testing to understand what effect are these openings having on the public.
We have the testing and tracing systems in place, and we will be ready to respond to any flare-ups.
Ford and his government sound confident, but check this out.
We have to make sure that we continue testing the general population. If someone has symptoms and they come in, we need to test them.
That was Ford exactly 5 weeks ago, and despite his confidence, it obviously didn't happen. But daily test counts in Ontario have increased. Prioritizing at-risk people, especially in long-term care homes. But the health ministry says the system is on top of those tests and ready for the next challenge.
We aren't even remotely close to the kind of testing we would need to support this reopening.
This public health expert anticipates Ontario's testing regime will get a failing grade.
So thinking about all the retail workers, all the service workers, there's serious occupational risk for all of these folks in this plan, and they should be tested at least weekly. But we would need hundreds of workers to do it. We would need tens of thousands of more tests per day. And that's the piece that is conspicuously missing here.
Ontario has become a leader in Canada in daily per capita testing.
The health minister also says alerting those in close contact with infected people is ramping up in tandem.
A growing number of public health units are contacting 90% of new cases within 24 hours as the province deploys more resources to accelerate these efforts.
Ready, she says, even as it's expected more of us will get sick. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
A man is dead after a shooting in Etobicoke tonight. Police were called to the scene near Kipling and Finch just after 7:30 tonight. Emergency crews rushed the man to hospital, but he later died. Police say witnesses report seeing 3 men running away from the area on foot. And a 5th arrest late this afternoon in connection with a violent abduction of a teenage boy early in March.
An innocent young man who had no reason to be abducted, just trying to walk to school.
The 14-year-old was grabbed in the Jane Street and Driftwood Avenue area and thrown into a black Jeep. Police say he was taken in retaliation for a multi-million-dollar drug deal gone wrong and was subjected to 40 hours of threats. The boy was eventually released and found by police in a remote area near Brampton. Police announced the arrest of 4 men earlier today. Tonight, a 5th, Solomon Nassimi, turned himself into police. The men are facing a slew of charges, ranging from kidnapping for ransom, uttering threats, forcible confinement, and drug-related charges. And what started out as a fire call to a Midtown Toronto high-rise has now turned into a murder investigation.
Well, it's very shocking because this is such a very peaceful neighborhood.
We had no idea what was going on. And like half an hour later, we all went back to our apartment. And I woke up this morning and I saw the news.
Detectives are trying to identify this man tonight. He was captured on surveillance cameras in the building in the Yonge and Beloyal area. Around 2 this morning, emergency crews were called for a fire in the building's laundry area. And after putting out the flames, firefighters discovered a man's body. Investigators say he was murdered. They now identified the victim as 52-year-old Peter Ellie of Toronto. The man police are looking for was dressed in a dark jacket and red and black pajamas. Police say if you see him, call 911. And after the break, still waiting for that package in the mail?
It's like trying to push back a wave with just your one hand.
As the boxes pile up, a Canada Post employee speaks out about the struggles of increased demand with less staff. Plus,
wet conditions will carry on into most of Friday, but at least the temperatures will be coming up. I'm meteorologist Colette Kennedy. We'll talk about the days that are going to be wet this weekend, but also at least one beautiful day that we'll be seeing. All that coming up after the break.
The Toronto Zoo wants to turn into a drive-through. It's an attempt to adapt to the times and let visitors practice physical distancing while still getting up and close with the animals.
This experience would have people driving in the front gate, actually navigating the existing walking paths, service roads, and Zoomobile route, and provide a unique behind-the-scenes look at your 500-acre zoo. And it takes you through several different of the geographic regions and gives you the opportunity to see a lot of the big animals, the rhinos, the zebras, the flamingos, and really provide a unique opportunity when folks have been really looking to get outside.
Now, the zoo is still waiting for approval from the city and the province in order to bring that safari experience to Torontonians. The experience would also come with a digital audio guide so you can learn about the different animals and the conservation work that happens at the Toronto Zoo. The zoo is also offering daily Facebook Lives at 1 o'clock, bringing animals right into people's homes. Let's check in with Colette Kennedy for a look at the weather forecast. We're seeing some wet weather, but finally, some warm weather, Colette.
Yeah, we've really been waiting a long time, Mike, and here we go, getting closer into this holiday weekend. There'll be one day that looks kind of like it's better than all the others, but at least we are going to see a few days with some milder temperatures moving in. But overnight tonight, not only the rain, still that risk for a few embedded thunderstorms. Friday will be wet until late in the day. We could get some clearing late afternoon, but Saturday is really that day where we're going to find that things are warm and dry combined. So special weather statement tonight, Niagara region. It does include Hamilton back towards Windsor, where we are looking at that risk of seeing some heavier amounts to be highly localized. And again, if you have a thunderstorm, you have a greater chance of getting to this 30 to 50 millimeters between what falls tonight and into Friday. It does look like most of the enhanced amounts are going to be a little further south of Lake Erie, but still, that risk is there. Highs today, well, still running below seasonal, but it's been interesting as the rain moved in, the temperatures have come down, and they're actually going to be rising through the overnight hours. So somewhat spotty in terms of the overnight with those showers, and we get some breaks in there, and then another wave kind of moves through. You can see heavier towards the north into cottage country, but there's still going to be some wet conditions until we can see things clearing out. And as we go into Saturday, we do see things clearing out. Now, it's not going to be full sun southwestern Ontario. I think you'll have more of a mix of sun and cloud at times, more sunshine towards the GTA, and then it looks pretty good Saturday till overnight. We get towards Sunday morning, and here it goes. Redevelopment, next system moving in, and waves of it coming in. So into Sunday, that'll be a little later on Sunday towards Toronto. So the beginning part of the day may be okay depending on the timing with this, but then it really carries on with some wet conditions into Monday. Did it sound like I was saying rain a lot? Yeah, much of this weekend looks that way. Rainfall accumulations, this isn't through the weekend. This is just as we go to tonight and 6 p.m. tomorrow, and this is why it's looking like some of these models do want to hold some of those heavier amounts of rain actually a little bit further south, but the chance is there. Overnight, very mild readings, well above seasonal for a change here into southwestern Ontario. No wonder with this system that is moving through. Still a chance for some thunderstorms in the morning hours. The winds will be a little strong from the southwest, but hitting that 19 to 20 degree mark. In the GTA, the temperatures also mild through the overnight tonight. As I said, towards the morning, they're actually going to be continuing to come up like this. And then tomorrow afternoon, maybe not quite 20 degrees, St. Catharines, you might get there, but at least getting close. That's all Friday. Of course, some of the big news today, golf courses opening up on Saturday. If you have a tee time early, like say 8, you're looking 8, 9 o'clock, 12 degrees in the afternoon, early afternoon to mid-afternoon, about 17 degrees with that sunshine. And then as we get towards Sunday, might eke out the first part of that day looking pretty good, but the temperatures come down, but just for a couple of days. And then, Mike, they're going to be going right back up as we get into mid and end of next week.
Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
The weather update is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. Take advantage of special offers now. It's hard to stop a Trane.
If you've ordered something online recently, you might still be waiting for the package to arrive. Canada Post says it is experiencing holiday season levels of demand. But as one employee tells our Natalie Collada, a staffing shortage may also be to blame.
It's definitely different.
Jaden Brazizi isn't usually this busy in May.
The level of parcels is way, way up.
With millions staying home across the country, employees have more to sort, carry, and deliver.
There's a lot of household items, cooking items, a lot of crafts for the kids.
It's been a struggle to keep up with demand.
It's like trying to push back a wave with just your one hand.
We've agreed to protect this sorting facility worker's identity because he's afraid of being disciplined for speaking out.
The head office has told the public, we have Christmas volumes, we're doing the best we can, but what they haven't said was we've lost almost half of our staff.
His pictures from inside the facility show mountains of packages waiting to be sorted and sent, some to remote communities, some containing necessities.
I'll dig out what I know is like disinfectants. I'll see medical supplies. It actually says on the side, dust masks.
The union representing postal workers confirms the staff shortage at the facility, but says safety trumps productivity.
The highest number of our members are off on high-risk leave, conditions that compromise your immune system. Those members are being asked not to come in.
Nearly 50 of its members have contracted coronavirus across Canada. In a statement to CBC News, Canada Post asked Canadians to be patient, that customers should expect delays because our plants were never designed to keep people 2 meters apart, meaning it's taking longer to process items. And it's a situation that's not likely to lighten anytime soon. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
After the break, we'll talk with July Talk about their August plans to hold a drive-in concert. If you had summer concert plans, they've probably been postponed or canceled already. COVID-19 has affected the way we're going to be having fun in a big way. But one Toronto band wants to adapt and innovate with the times by doing something kind of retro. July Talk will take to the stage in August at a drive-in movie theater. Ali Chasson spoke to the band about the totally unique experience.
July Talk is back with a new album and a new show.
And now we're home.
Like a whole new way of doing a show at a drive-in movie theater. The band's manager came up with the idea after having to cancel a whole summer of shows.
Oh my God, we can create this whole experience out of it and have the camera feed of the live show onto the screens and the audio being broadcast into everyone's vehicles, and it just kind of went from there. And it's been a really creative couple months kind of planning the logistics of it.
The shows are booked for August 12th and 13th. They haven't released the exact location yet, but it will be near Toronto at a drive-in movie lot. Remember those?
I remember seeing a double bill of Twister and Jurassic Park. I'm not even sure they came out in the same year, but somehow this drive-in pulled off having a dinosaur movie and a Twister movie. And I just remember hiding under the blankets in the back seat and just being so scared.
Added time might please you too. Drive-in movies were especially big in the 1950s and 60s, but this time sub the 1950s era teenage lovers for music fans jamming out socially and physically distanced in their cars. It can be done.
Guys, in Germany, car rave. If anything, it's a new dance move.
Yeah, totally. I think that'll be a blast, especially if kids come, you know, being able to, you'll always remember like honking at a band.
When you find your keys I stole.
July Talk fans are excited.
Thank you for like putting something positive out there for music fans right now. It's been kind of gloomy, and like we'll be there to support you. Like the hardcore fans will be there to support you through it all.
But I'm definitely really excited to see what they have in store.
You can dance in your car.
Oh, I will be for sure.
Both Leah and Peter say, right back at ya.
People have tried to replace certain experiences with online experiences, but being able to provide an actual first-person feeling of that kind of urgency and butterflies and experiment together, you know, I think it's gonna be pretty special.
Ali Chasson, CBC News, Toronto.
What a great idea. Well, that's our show for you tonight. Before we go, we wanted to show you something else that's pretty cool. People from across the country were asked to help the CBC last month with a special project. Today, the result. Something beautiful, musical, and oh so Canadian. That is Blue Rodeo's Greg Keeler and Jim Cuddy performing their song Lost Together in the Great Canadian Sing-Along. This is a project spearheaded by CBC Music. First, Canadians were asked what song should be sung. Then they were encouraged to submit a recording singing it, and our music team put it all together. You can see the entire video on our website. It's my favorite thing on the internet right now. Good night.